What does AI mean to you?
So, I mean, artificial intelligence in its current manifestation, it's large language models. At least those are the ones that I know about most. And so they're effectively machines that can pump out really complex answers to really complex questions really quickly because they're using the entirety of the internet to think.
I mean, there's a lot of problems with AI.
My beef is that I think it stops people from thinking for themselves. So, for instance, when we're talking about high school kids, middle school kids or whatever, apparently it's already a huge problem that most people are pumping their thinking into ChatGPT and they're printing it out and they're turning it into their teachers as if it was their original work.
Let me ask myself something. Do I think for myself?
I hope so.
I hope so too. Do you think for yourself? And how do you do that?
Because I balance and twist around 10,000 ideas in my brain all the time to make sure that I think I'm right. But I always entertain the notion that I could be wrong. And I also entertain the notion that I could be wrong.
Yeah, you that and you're skeptical with me, right? It's in here. Even skeptical of like my own emotions.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we were just talking about fear and stuff earlier, and just like honoring fear and how it can be a bad strategy and such. But with AI, taking people from thinking for themselves. So I think for myself, right? I think I make my own choices. I'm confident that I do make my own choices because a lot of people are pissed off by choices like they're like, when did you make this choice? And I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, no. Like it's kind of after a while getting all that pressure, feel better after that. But AI, there's definitely an element, or I'm not thinking of myself, but AI. I gotta be realistic. And then there's also an element where, like with doing some like research, market research, or financial model, where the AI can't replace my creative. Where I'm like, okay, I want to model, like let's say something that puts you off crypto. I want to model crypto's price, right? And AI is like, oh, here's gonna be the price. Blah blah blah. I'm like, no, that's not. No, like AI, you're wrong.
Okay.
Right? This is because people over the last 10 years they've said, oh, look at Bitcoin, it's doubling in price every year. And well, what I've seen the very beginning of crypto where it was much more than 10, 20, it was 100x in like a year period, let's say, and then 50x, let's say in the next 2 years. I've seen it, instead of just doubling. I've seen it, y'all's perspective, I've seen it accelerate a lot, but the amount that it's increasing is we have slowed down, shrink. So I'm over here going like, well, AI, that's not true. Here's how I would like you to model. So I've seen examples where I'm just kind of like, okay, AI, I'll try that with a new employee. Thanks for reading the resume for me. And then other times, I'll find my own creativity.
Right. So I guess
So I don't know if everybody's just gonna let it think in them. Period. Maybe they will just like they'll let the TV think for them.
Sure.
And I think it's a problem. It turns out I think it's an individual problem.
But I'm a skeptic about human nature. I'm a skeptic about technology and the way that it affects us. And so, for instance, like the reason why I work out is because I know that 100 years ago, 200 years ago, thousands of years, my ancestors basically spent their entire days walking around foraging for food. Now, technology
and officers.
Sure. And technology has eliminated our need for that because you got DoorDash, you got grocery stores, you got endless amounts of food options, and it's expensive nowadays, but it's relatively speaking cheap. But the reason why I continue to exercise, the reason why I continue to watch what I eat, is because I effectively know that the modern convenience has made it such that if I engage with this thing irresponsibly, it's going to eventually kill it. And so that's what I'm worried about with AI. At least it's ours.
Like
as a species.
If you use DoorDash every day, and then you're not walking because of that, and then you start being multi-rapid, right?
The government isn't going to save you.
Whose fault?
I mean, obviously, I would put the maximum amount of onus on the individual.
Yeah, and I don't think we would disagree all that. But I mean, all I'm saying though is yeah, you clearly have choices, and there's bad choices pop up.
But we're raising kids with this stuff. And so this is my thing. I have a 7-year-old boy, I have a 2-year-old boy. I wouldn't let my 7-year-old boy smoke cigarettes just because, we're all human beings at the end of the day, and ultimately we make our own choice. Did you
smoke cigarettes?
I smoked cigarettes when I was 19. I smoked cigarettes when I was probably 15 till I was 25. And it was actually a huge pain in the ass to quit. And so I was an adult. I was an agent. I was making my own choices. But at the same time, those choices they could still have consequences on my outcome. Even though I made the right choice.
You don't want to see your children make that choice. Same here.
I want them to make mistakes and learn from them. So I don't care if they smoke a few cigarettes at a party, or if they smoke some marijuana, or they kiss a girl that they shouldn't. That's fine. That's like part of growing up. But what I do care is I think that there's some people who are out here who are relatively nefarious, who are effectively under, not accusing you of this, but under the guise of free will, they're selling people poison. And so because we live in a free society, we say, well, you're free to sell poison. And the adults are free to consume poison. But at the same time, there should be a cultural pressure to say it's poison.
They're being manipulated.
I'm still with you on the agent thing.
There's a lot of like manipulation.
Well, and you should be smart enough to know when you're being manipulated.
But like I get you. And it's like when you're a child, you're just not smart enough to know if you're a kid. You know, it's just that painful experience. But
if I'm going to bring this home though, what I would say is that's a Dolce & Gabbana jacket.
it's actually a doggy, you know.
A dog.
It is.
Okay, it's a Dolce & Gabbana. I complimented your shirt because I assume that your shirt matches your Dolce & Gabbana. No, okay.
Not yet.
What is it from
The
Target?
other logo. Yeah. Target, you're opposite.
Okay.
Not Burberry.
Okay, but I don't know the brands. And so what I'm presuming is you're trying to convey to me in a sense of confidence, wealth, knowledge, those kinds of things. And I'm assuming that we're not just videotaping this for our fun, we're videotaping this because it's a business, right? So there is a service that you're trying to provide, a consultation, a knowledge, a coaching program, something. And so I know because
What if I do I was not interested in something?
then I would
Be
wonder.
like bullshit?
Well, I'd wonder why you have free cameras. Yeah, but that's because I've been around long enough that I basically can look out for symbols of what are people trying to communicate to me. But a lot of people don't think that deeply about it. They just see the symbols and they're subconsciously communicated to about those symbols.
I could be communicating. I want to look good, and this is what I think.
And you look great.
Like this.
And you look great. But that's what I'm saying is there's an alarm bell in the back of my head saying, what are you trying to sell? You know, what are you trying to convince me about AI? What are you trying to convince me about crypto? My skepticism, my hesitation, my frustration, my anger, you're trying to bypass it in order to figure something out. What is the thing that you're trying to figure out? But some people don't have those alarm bells.
You know, I'd love to share a story.
Please, go ahead. Yeah.
There was this business mentor I'd had, and we worked together relatively short amount of time, and it's been like 10 years, and we've been dying to work together since. But after a year and a half of us working together, I was sitting there, I was thinking, I was sitting and feeling, his name's Rich. Oh, I saw Rich. I hope he sees this too. Okay, I'm an artist. And Rich was like 25 years old, Ruby.
Okay.
And he just really liked Rashid put it block. In very genuine, so very genuine. So we're making up, right?
Mm.
But as I was like sitting there, just like listening to a talk to another individual in Joel Beeks, I thought to myself, because there are some things I wanted to talk with him about, stuff like with finances to a company and things, and I could just feel that even though this guy had never longed to, or I never felt that he wanted to, and he spoke about me, we each got along really well. I could feel though that there was this guard I had where I didn't trust him, and I thought to myself, I definitely don't trust this guy, but I don't know why I don't trust him. So I decided to tell him, I go, hey Rich, you know where I realized? Because I was sitting there thinking like, why don't I trust him? And then as I'm sitting there like feeling me, I'm like remembering like all these really, but silencered on it. I remembered like a lot of these really fucked up things that my father and even my dad, they're like, that was very good trying to myself. Young age, middle age, even like, middle age, like teenage, even at 20s. I was just sitting there feeling it. I thought, wow, yeah, it's my mom, dad. Like, so there's like really fucked up things. Of course, I'm gonna thank Rich, because he's never done anything like that. It's bound you fucked up used to. So I said, hey Rich, you know what I just realized? And he goes, hey, what's that, Rob? And I go, I just realized I don't trust you. And he was like really like, what? And as I told him, I was like, yeah, it's like so bizarre. Like, you've done nothing to harm me, but I realized I haven't trusted you one bit. And he was a little upset by this. He couldn't even hear me. He was like, well Rob, I don't see what I've ever done wrong to you, or like he seemed like actually like who's about to cry or something.
Yeah, I know. It's a personal evaluation.
And I was like, no, wait, like, no, I'm sitting here like blown away by the fact that I don't think you've ever done anything at all. Like, I mean, I really like love you a lot, but clearly my love for you is capped because I realized I don't trust you, and I'm not taking all of your great advice, which 10 years later I'm like, damn, Sue's telling you shitload of great advice. Took some, Well, yeah, some of that I didn't because there's trust. I was like, yeah, no, it's just blowing my mind, Mitch, that our Hughes still is. He is feeling a little bit hurt. I see that. He was trying to hide it a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wasn't like, I don't know, with my magic belt. You know, it worked out. It worked out. I was just like, oh, listen. So I had also realized that, like, I was like, who else do I default not trust? I wasn't even thinking, like, the fact that the reason why I was it point in the first place was because I had super strong distrust with banks. Super strong distrust with anything. It was the whole reason why I checked out Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, what I'm just getting at is to like, yeah, a lot of this suspicion, etc. Even with ourselves, like sometimes people may not trust themselves. You know, I realized that you know, it might. Well, what I realized is that meaningful relationships, they were Rich or Turab here, etc. In Rich's situation, in Turab's situation, I realized, you know what? We probably have a lot more potential that's not being because I still got this background of distrust from some of these screwed up things. I mean, I just wanted to share that real quick because like today, today, some people are just like, there's no way to leave this Robert. I'm like, yeah, I do. Today, I default, like the worst move you could make when you think about it. But the reason why I continue to default trust people is because sometimes I'm surprised, like, oh man. But when I decided to start default trusting people, one, that's being vulnerable. Two, I was getting screwed in different ways. But as I got screwed, I could see what part of my own actions or myself making myself vulnerable to that I didn't see. And then I started, like, people who didn't like screw me over, like thinking about this whole girl was really sweet. This girl that I dated, very sweet. I felt like, oh, this friend needs to do you over. Too much in the detail. As I decided to default trust people, at times where I felt like, and it was really hard to trust people certain times. It's very hard to, I think you sit go example here, but at times where they didn't go against that trust, now it's pretty damn sure they were going to go against that trust, crit punch, and they didn't. I started discerning the difference between I shouldn't trust this person versus, like, I shouldn't trust this person, but here's what it felt like that I never broke that trust. And then the same, what I thought was the same distrust with somebody who did break that trust as I thought. Mm-hmm. I realized those feelings were a little bit different.
Sure. No, discernment is a...
So I wouldn't have gotten discernment without experimenting with opening up to the possibility.
Yeah, discernment is a huge part of wisdom. It's a huge part of experience. And I think that particularly when you deal with trauma, you know, I had an excellent childhood, but, you know, I grew up during the War on Terror. I served in the military, I served in law enforcement. So a certain amount of, like, cynicism or skepticism about human nature is kind of what keeps you alive in stressful environments. But that being said, what I learned that a lack of trust led to me not living. I wasn't, you know, engaging in friendships or engaging in relationships with my full attention because of that lack. So I would say I actually did end up with a similar approach to you, where effectively it's like, you know, the reason why we did an interview, you know, when I was walking down the stairs. The reason why we did that was because I was like, oh, you know, young girl, she's, you know, talking to people, she's trying to figure it out, she's, you know, interviewing people, you know, why not? I mean, give them a couple of minutes, see what's going on. And so I start from that trust perspective, but I still think that starting from that perspective, I'm also waiting for the foot to fall. So how is this person going to screw me over? What are they actually interested in? All that kind of stuff. And then discernible. That after that, you figure out who your friends are, who your enemies are, and the difference between them. And yeah, it's a great way to start from a position of trust, but then move to be ready for the foot to fall.
Yeah, maybe you know the answer to this. Sure. There's a question I would ask myself, and I never got an answer for it. I would ask myself, what's the worst that could happen? I trust this person and they violate that trust.
Sure.
I mean, there's tons of things to think of, but I couldn't ever come up with a realistic explanation, because it's not like they were telling me, like, hey, I got candy in the back of my van, going in the back of my van.
Yeah.
And they weren't saying that kind of shit.
Sure.
So I couldn't answer that. I couldn't answer what's the worst that could happen.
Well, as a man in Dolce & Gabbana City, I think you lose a lot of money. So that would be...
You gotta get afraid of that, for one.
Sure. And then I think the other thing, too, is just relationships. You can waste time, money, energy, love on the wrong people, and they can destroy your trust, they can destroy your relationships, they can destroy your love.
That's all things. And by the way, we're all mortal creatures. So I'm 37. I got about another 37 years left. So you have to spend your time wisely. And so that's where I would say is don't waste your time.
Well, I just couldn't figure out what they would do. But I did find some really fucked up things that people would do.
Yeah.
Some people would.
Sometimes people surprise you with their creativity.
But the vulnerability of being there, like instead of trying to run from something, I found myself learning a lot. But
I'm sure you learned a ton from people who screwed you over. Absolutely.
yeah. And thanks. I'll get you a beer too.
Cool. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's go get a beer.